Hi friends, today we will discuss about gametogenesis. This is the 12th NCERT biology third chapter. The topic is 3.3. We have divided this gametogenesis into two parts. Part 1 is about spermatogenesis and part 2 is about oogenesis. So please go through this part 1 spermatogenesis. Let us see what is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis means formation of gametes. Now, what is gamete? See, uh, the ultimate goal of any living organism is to reproduce. For that purpose, it has a primary sex organs. These are called as a gonads. In case of male, it is called as a testes. In case of female, it is called as a ovary. Now, as I have told you that the every organism for the goal is to reproduce. Now, see, this organism is made up of two types of cells. One is a somatic cell and another is the germinal cell. Now, somatic cell will die after some time, but these germinal cells they produce gametes, and these gametes will remain forever. That means the gametes from for suppose this is a man, the male which will produce a gamete that is known as a sperm. Ovum from a female, they will fuse to form a new individual that is a zygote. This zygote later on will become again this adult. So the germinal cells which are present in the primary sex organs, these are producing gametes, and these gametes are helpful in propagation of that particular individual and giving rise to a new individual. So these germinal cells will, when they will give rise to gamete, this is known as a formation of gamete, and this is called as a gametogenesis. Gameto means gametes, genesis means formation. So if it is in case of a male sperm production is there, then it is called as a spermatogenesis. And if it is in case of a ovum, then it is called as a oogenesis. So this is all about the gametogenesis. See, now we will discuss about spermatogenesis, how sperms are formed. In this definition of a spermatogenesis is very important, then significance of a spermatogenesis, then where this occurs, then what is structure of a seminiferous tubule, then what is the process of a spermatogenesis, hormonal control of a spermatogenesis, and structure of a sperm. And lastly, we will discuss about the composition of a semen. So this we are going to discuss in the next slides. Now see, what is the definition of spermatogenesis? I have told you that it is the formation of the male gamete that is called as a spermatogenesis. Now, this how this male gamete is formed. See, this is nothing but the differentiation. That means a very simple type of a cell that we call it as the spermatogonium. This is a spermatogonium, sperm mother cell. This sperm mother cell is a simple circular type of a cell and without having any kind of spatial structures that are present in this. But this spermatogonium differentiate into, or what is the differentiation? Differentiation means a change, a thorough change in a particular cell to perform a particular type of a function. So here what is happening? The spermatogonium is converted into or converting into a kind of a sperm, a kind of a cell that is capable of movement, and it has a special machinery for carrying this nucleus, or we can say the genetic material, to the ovum. So formation of a male haploid. Now see here, this is a haploid. Half of the chromosomes are there. Here in a spermatogonium, you will find the diploid nature of the spermatogonium. So in this case, the 2n number of chromosomes are halved into n number of chromosomes in a this newly formed cell that is called as a sperm or gamete. So formation of male haploid motile gamete from undifferentiated. So this is a undifferentiated. This is a simple kind of cell, but here what is happening? This undifferentiated cell is converted into a specialized kind of a cell which is meant for fertilizing the ovum. It has a compact body. It has a n number of chromosome. It has a tail for the movement. So all these kind of specialized features are there in a sperm. So that's why it is called as a haploid motile gamete. So this is how that in case of a spermatogenesis from 2n number of 2n spermatogonium, haploid motile gamete is formed. Now we will discuss about the significance of a spermatogenesis. See, spermatogenesis produces a genetically unique male gamete that can fertilize the female gamete and restores diploid number of chromosomes in the zygote. So this is the true significance of spermatogenesis, that whenever a cell, that is a germ cell or germinal epithelium cell, undergoes spermatogenesis, it forms a haploid cell, haploid gamete. Now we know that two haploid gametes, that means a sperm from a male and ovum from the female, both are having n number of chromosomes in their cell, and when they fuse with each other, they form a zygote, and that zygote is having 2n number of chromosomes. That means this zygote is giving rise to the whole individual. Now this whole individual is again having a, because here the zygote, which is a one cell structure, that develops into a multicellular individual which is having, or its cells are having, 2n number of chromosome. That means this is a simple mitosis. So this is how that the individual's 2n number of chromosome complement in a cell that is maintained by forming the haploid gamete. So this is the significance of the spermatogenesis, that these germ cells which are 2n, having the chromosome complement of a 2n, they are halved into uh, gametes, and then these two gametes, whatever the gametes that are formed, these are, first characteristic feature of this is they are unique, because in while forming this haploid gamete, a crossing over that takes place, crossing over of the chromosomes. The crossing over of the chromosome means the segments of a chromosome that are interchanged or exchanged in between the maternal and paternal chromosomes, and thereby whatever the chromosomes that are formed, these are having a unique combination, new combination, and that's why we call it as each and every gamete is a unique in nature. And these n number of chromosomes from the male, n number of chromosomes from the female, they fuses with each other to form a 2n number of chromosome containing zygote, and this is how that from this zygote a new individual is formed, which is again having the 2n number of chromosomes. So this is how that the the fertilization restores the diploid number of chromosomes in the zygote. So this is the significance of a spermatogenesis. Now another significance is that because of the unique nature of these gametes, see the individuals that are formed, these individuals are unique, or they have a special kind of a, or they differ from the their parents, and that's why we call it as a variation. That is called as a वेरिएशन. मतलब कोई भी बच्चा अपने माता पिता के एग्जैक्ट सिमिलर नहीं रहता है, उसके अंदर में थोड़े से वेरिएशंस आ जाते हैं, और दीज वेरिएशंस आर द टूल फॉर इवोल्यूशन. That is why this type of uh, we can say the mixing of genes, that is very important for evolution. Because of that variations are created, and these variations are very important in um, survival of that particular species. Now we will talk about the occurrence of a spermatogenesis. In case of a mammals, the spermatogenesis occurs in a testes, and these testes are present in the scrotal sac. So most of the mammals have these scrotal sac. Some mammals are the exceptions, like rhino, elephant, and whale. They don't have the scrotal sac. Now, why this scrotal sac like arrangement? Why, or why this particularly the testes only they are placed outside the abdominal cavity? That is because scrotal sac have a temperature lower than the body temperature. In case of humans, 2 to 2.5 degree less temperature is found in a scrotal sac. Now, why such a kind of arrangement is there? That is because for a spermatogenesis to happen, or for a normal spermatogenesis, the temperature requirement is about near about 35 degrees centigrade in case of humans, and that is maintained in a scrotal sac. Now you will ask me that why then uh, elephant or a rhino or a whale, they don't have scrotal sac. That is because they have, in although their testes are present in the abdominal body, but still they have a special kind of arrangement so that the temperature of the testes can remain below the body temperature. Now Let us talk about the structure of a testes. Testes are made up of small compartments, and each compartment is called as a lobule. Now, in this lobule, seminiferous tubules are present. It is the loop of a seminiferous tubule. So, if you see that, or if you stretch this particular portion of the seminiferous tubule, you will find that it will appear like a loop. So, this is a tube of a seminiferous tubule, and total length of this seminiferous tubule is about 600 meter long, and the diameter of this tubule is about 200 micrometer. Now it has two functions. One is to synthesize the hormone. So the interstitial space in between these seminiferous tubule contains a kind of a cell that is called as a Leydig cells, and Leydig cells are responsible for synthesis of the hormone that is known as androgen. Androgen, we know that androgen is the main hormone in case of a male that is responsible for secondary sexual characters. Along with that, this inner lining of the seminiferous tubules contains germinal epithelium, and this germinal epithelium continuously supply the the cells, or we can say germ cells, for the production of a spermatozoa. So spermatogenesis takes place inside the seminiferous tubule, and whatever the spermatozoa that are synthesized, they are taken to the reed testes. This is a kind of a anastomosing network-like structure of tubules. So this is called as a reed testes. This is called as a reed testes. From this reed testes, the sperms are then taken to the epididymis. So these ductules, small ductules, are called as a efferent ductules, or vasa efferents. So the sperms are transported via this to the epididymis. Now epididymis is the epididymis. The whole structure is here, and this is the head region of the epididymis. This is the tail region of the epididymis. So here spermatozoa are stored for some time, and during their storage, the maturation of a spermatozoa that takes place, inside the seminiferous tubule, whenever the spermatozoa they are formed, they are not motile, but after maturation inside the epididymis, the spermatozoa become motile. Now these motile spermatozoa then are transferred to the urinogenital tract via this particular coiled structure. This is known as a vas deferens. Now, vas means vessel, deferens means the to carry away. So, this particular vas deferens is responsible for carrying away spermatozoa to the urinogenital canal. From urinogenital canal, it is taken to the penis for ejaculation. So, this is how that the structure of testes that helps in synthesis of the spermatozoa. So now in the next slide we will see the so when we talk about the internal structure of a seminiferous tubule, see, internal structure of a seminiferous tubule is having two types of cells. The one is, as I have told you, that germinal cells are present in the germinal epithelium. So this is the lining of the seminiferous tubule. Along with this germinal epithelial cells, the somatic cells are also there. These somatic cells are called as a Sertoli cells. Uh, the name of the cells that is given after the scientist who discovered this is Hendrik Sertoli in 1865. That's why the name is given as Sertoli cells. So let us see the structure of a seminiferous tubule. You can see here the same diagram. Now if we enlarge it, you will see that this particular portion, if we take a TS of this particular portion, it will appear like this. So it will appear like this. So you can see here, this is a TS of the let us see the, you can see here. So this is how that arrangement of the seminiferous tubule is there. Inside this, the Sertoli cells are there, and these Sertoli cells, this is called as, the small cells are called as the germinal epithelial cells, and in these germinal epithelial cells are in between the Sertoli cells. So, and this is the lumen of the seminiferous tubules, where you can see here a small spermatozoa, they are swimming in this fluid. So this fluid is secreted by the Sertoli cells. So in this fluid, this particular spermatozoa swims. So the development of this is a germinal epithelium, and from this germinal epithelium, the spermatozoa are formed. So like this is the seminiferous tubule. If you want to see the schematic architecture of a germinal epithelium of a seminiferous tubule, you can see here. It is like this. These are the Sertoli cells, conical structures inside the, um, you can say, the seminiferous tubule. These are the different stages of development of a sperm mother cell or a spermatogonia. Then this spermatogonia giving rise to the sperm, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, then spermatids. These are the spermatids in the developing stage. Then it is a spermatozoa. Then this spermatozoa is released in the lumen. So like that, this is the schematic architecture of a germinal epithelium. Now, if you want to see the enlarge, or if we enlarge this, it will appear like this. So this is what the NCERT diagram is there, diagrammatic structural view of a seminiferous tubule. So this is the diagrammatic view. This portion is enlarged and it appears like this. So if we see, this is a spermatogonium that I have already discussed about you. This spermatogonium is a part of the germinal epithelium. Now this spermatogonium give rise to a primary spermatocyte. So this is a primary spermatocyte. Primary spermatocyte give rise to secondary spermatocyte. Then from this secondary spermatocyte, metamorphosis that takes place, or we can say the structural change that takes place from the spermatid to the spermatozoa. This process is known as a spermiogenesis. Now, then spermatozoa are formed, and these spermatozoa are then released from the membrane of the Sertoli cells into the lumen. So this is known as a spermiation. So this is a lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So this lumen contains a fluid secreted by um, this Sertoli cells, and this is how that the sperms are deposited in the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So in case of NCERT diagram, we can say the one error is there. This is actually a nucleus of a Sertoli cell nucleus. But in NCERT book, it is given as Sertoli cells. So Sertoli cells are very large like this, and these Sertoli cells are attached, or the membrane of the Sertoli cell is attached to the developing stages of the spermatozoa. So whatever the nutrition that is provided to the developing stages of the spermatozoa. So this is how that the Sertoli cells controls the spermatogenesis. So just remember that this is the Sertoli cell nucleus, and this yellow portion is the cytoplasm of the Sertoli cell. Then you can see here, I have already discussed this You can see this is the actual diagrammatic structural view of seminiferous tubule. Now we will see the process of spermatogenesis. The process of spermatogenesis starts from the stem cells or sperm mother cells. Then these sperm mother cells undergo mitosis, then meiosis, then spermiogenesis, and then lastly the spermiation. So let us see one by one. See, for our convenience, we have divided this spermatogenesis into three phases. First phase is called as the phase of multiplication. The second phase is called as a phase of growth, and the last phase is a phase of maturation. Now see here, this is a germinal epithelial cell or primary germ cell. This primary germ cell undergoes mitosis and it gives rise to two daughter cells. Now this is the first and this is the second daughter cell. Out of these two, one daughter cell that remains as a stem cell. Now what is a stem cell? Stem cell means the the cell which is capable of proliferation, which is capable of dividing itself. So whenever a particular primary germ cell undergoes a mitosis or a stem cell undergoes a mitosis, it will produce two daughter cells. One of the daughter cell will remain as it is and as a stem cell, and it will provide the, yeah, or it is like a pool, and it will provide the new daughter cells for spermatogenesis. So the other one that becomes a primary spermatocyte. So the first daughter cell remain as it is. The second daughter cell undergoes a spermatogenesis, and it gives rise to the primary spermatocyte. So this is known as a phase of multiplication, where sperm mother cells divide and redivide to increase the number of such a type of cells that will undergo the mm, spermatogenesis. So this cell undergoes a spermatogenesis. This spermatogonium becomes a primary spermatocyte. So this is known as the phase of multiplication. Then phase of growth, the sperm mother cell increases in size and becomes the primary spermatocyte. So I have told you that whatever the sperm mother cell that is created by division of these stem cells, this undergoes increase in size, and then this is called as a primary spermatocyte. Now this primary spermatocyte undergoes a meiosis 1. Now when it undergoes a meiosis 1, this is called as a reduction division. This is called as a reduction division, meiosis 1. So remember that whenever there is a meiosis, meiosis is always comprises of these two steps, the meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. That means whatever the meiosis is there, meiosis is always ha having a meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So whenever a meiosis 1 takes place, there is a reduction of the chromosome number. So here 2n number of chromosomes are halved into n number of chromosomes. In the daughter cells, whatever the daughter cells that are formed, these cells will have a n number of chromosomes. So that's why it is called as a reduction division. Then in a meiosis 2, now meiosis 2, you will find that don't confuse with the meiosis 1. Meiosis 2 is always like a mitosis. It is always like a mitosis. So what happens in a mitosis? The chromosome number remains same, but the number of the cells that increases. So here it divides into two, that is having the n number of chromosomes. So although it is a meiosis, but it is a meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 is like a mitosis, and it gives rise to the two daughter cells, and each one is having n number of chromosomes. So the chromosome number remains same. That's why uh, we can say that it is just like a mitosis, but it is a part of the meiosis. So whenever there is a meiosis, it is always that meiosis 1 is a reduction division and meiosis 2 is just like a mitosis, but it is called as a meiosis 2. Then whatever the resultant cells, these are called as a spermatids. And these spermatids, now these spermatids are undifferentiated simple cells. Now these undifferentiated simple cells differentiate into kind of motile haploid cells, and these are called as a spermatozoa. Now, this process of differentiation of a spermatid to spermatozoa, because it is a drastic change that takes place in the spermatid, special kind of structures that are created during this spermiogenesis. That is, a tail is created, then a acrosome is created, the nucleus is compacted, uh, energy providing machinery, that is mitochondria, that is also formed. So all these kind of structural changes that takes place in a spermatid, and that's why it is called as a spermiogenesis. So these spermatozoa are formed by spermiogenesis. So this is known as a phase of maturation, because in a phase of maturation, or phase of maturation starts from meiosis 1 up to the formation of spermatozoa. So this is a diagrammatic representation of spermatogenesis. Now let us talk about spermiogenesis. As I have told you that spermiogenesis means differentiation of a spermatid to a spermatozoa. We know that spermatid is a simple non-motile circular structure or a cell. Now this circular non-motile spermatid is converted into a very compact spermatozoa, which is having a tail for motility. So this drastic change is from the spermatid to spermatozoa is known as a spermiogenesis. Now it has a four spaces, although it is not given in a NCRT, but for your understanding, I am explaining it. Golgi phase, then cap phase, acrosomal phase, and maturation phase. In a Golgi phase, you can see here the Golgi complex is there. The vessels and tubules of the Golgi complex, they coalesce to form a proacrosome. At the same time, the proximal and distal centriole takes up a position just opposite to the proacrosome along the side of the nucleus. Then cap phase. In a cap phase, this uh, cap-like acrosome is formed around the nucleus. So that's why its name is cap phase. Then after that, the acrosomal phase is there, where acrosome is a prominent. It increases in size and it covers the 1/3 of the nucleus. So this is known as a acrosomal phase. In acrosomal phase also, the elongation of a nucleus that takes place. This elongation of a nucleus is mm, with the help of a kind of a manchete, or it is a kind of a collar-like structure. You can see here this it is made up of microtubules, and this collar-like structure is called as a manchete. So it molds the nucleus to become elongate. So this is what the acrosomal phase uh, is there. And then after the acrosomal phase, there is a maturation phase. In a maturation phase, condensation of a nucleus that takes place, the arrangement of mitochondria around the nucleus or around the centriole, that also takes place. Then formation of neck is there. Then the middle piece and tail formation is also there in a maturation phase. So the most of the cytoplasm that is shaded from the main body of the spermatozoa, so that the body of the spermatozoa becomes streamlined, and whatever the cytoplasm that is um, shaded from the spermatozoa, that is engulfed by the Sertoli cells, and it is recycled. So this is how the spermiogenesis that takes place, and it converts the simple spermatid into a compact spermatozoa which is capable of movement. Now we will discuss about the spermiation. Spermiation is a process in which the spermatozoa are detached from the plasma membrane of the Sertoli cells. So whenever we see that, or the development of this spermatid to spermatozoa that takes place, the nutrition that is provided to the developing spermatozoa is via the Sertoli cells, because these Sertoli cells membrane, plasma membrane, is attached with the membrane of these developing spermatozoa. So as the spermatozoa is formed, it detaches from the plasma membrane of the Sertoli cell. So this is a Sertoli cell, and this Sertoli cell then uh, releases this newly formed spermatozoa into the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So this detachment, this release of spermatozoa from the membrane of the Sertoli cell is called as a spermiation. See, now we will discuss about the semen. Semen is nothing but a liquid that is ejaculated in the vagina of the female. This semen contains sperms and seminal plasma or a seminal fluid. Now, we know that when the sperms are formed, these are released in a seminiferous tubules lumen. Seminiferous tubules lumen contains a liquid or a fluid that is responsible for taking the sperms to the epididymis, because the sperms don't have a motility yet. But when the sperms are transported via reed testes vas efferentia to the epididymis, in a epididymis they are stored. During their storage, the maturation of a sperm that takes place, and they gain the motility. Even during their travel via vas deferens, seminal vesicles, prostate glands, the secretion of these accessory ducts that also helps in maturation and motility of the sperm. So these are all the accessory ducts that are very helpful in maturation and motility of the sperm. So remember the sequence of the sperm travel from the seminiferous tubule to the urinogenital tract. The question was asked on this in 2011 NEET exam. You can see this. If for some reason the vas efferentia in the human reproductive system get blocked, then the gametes will not be transported from dash A. Epididymis to vas deferens, B. Ovary to uterus, C. Vagina to uterus, and D. Testes to epididymis. So the answer is D. Testes to epididymis, because from seminiferous tubules the sperms are transported to the reed testes. From reed testes via vas efferens they are taken to the epididymis. From epididymis via vas deferens they are taken to the urinogenital tract. So this is the sequence that is very important. Remember that the meaning of vas deferens is to take away. So vas means vessels, deferens means taking away from the particular um, organ. So This is how that the questions are asked. So remember that. Now we will discuss about the structure of a sperm. See, the sperm is divided into three regions. The first region is called as a head region. Second region is called as a middle piece, and the third region is called as a tail. The first region, that is head, contains a vesicle at the anterior end. This vesicle is known as a acrosome, which contains hydrolytic enzymes, and these hydrolytic enzymes are helpful in fertilization. The most important hydrolytic enzyme present in the acrosome is a hyaluronidase. Then below this acrosome, nucleus is present. Nucleus is very compact, and it contains all the chromosomes, or we can say in case of humans all 23 chromosomes are packed together and in a nucleus. Then after the first portion, or then the middle portion, in the middle portion, a centriole is there at the base of the nucleus. We can say at the neck of the sperm, the centriole is there. This centriole give rise to the axoneme that runs along the tail and is helpful in movement of the tail. Then for this movement, the energy is required. That energy is given by mitochondria. So this mitochondria are present in the middle piece of the sperm. So this is how that the whole machinery is meant for taking up this nuclear material up to the ova. So no nutrition is present, or nutritional material is not present in the sperm. So sperm barely takes up only chromosomes to up to the ova. The arrangement of this tail is standard 9+2 arrangement is seen in the flagella of the sperm. So this is all about the structure of a sperm. The different animals have a different length. For example, in case of mouse, the length is much more, and in case of a human beings, the length of the sperm is about 60 micrometer. So in my spermatogenesis slide or spermatogenesis video, I have mistakenly uttered the word as a millimeter. Please remember that it is a 65 micrometer, not millimeter. Then 80% of the spermatozoa are motile in ejaculation. And the movement of the sperm, or the speed of the sperm in a genital tract, is about 5 mm per minute. Then they survive in a genital tract. In case of humans, they survive in a genital tract up to 74 hours or 3 days. You can see that. So this is what the structure of a sperm is. See, now we will discuss about a hormonal regulation of a spermatogenesis. See, at the time of a puberty, in case of a male, hypothalamus starts to produce a gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now, what is the meaning of a tropin? Tropin means the hormone which stimulates other gland to secrete its own secretion. So, this gonadotropin releasing hormone is responsible for stimulating anterior pituitary, and because of that the anterior pituitary starts to produce follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Now this follicle stimulating hormone helps in stimulating Sertoli cells, and because of that the Sertoli cells, they are responsible for nourishment and nurturing of the various stages of a spermatogenesis. Then the luteinizing hormone from the anterior pituitary, it stimulates Leydig cells. These Leydig cells are also called as the interstitial cells. These interstitial cells are present in the interstitium, means in between the seminiferous tubules, the interstitium is there, and in that these Leydig cells are present. These Leydig cells are responsible for formation of the androgen or a testosterone. All these are, or these hormones are responsible for initiation of a spermatogenesis in a male, plus they are also responsible for uh, mm, carrying out the expression of secondary sexual characters in case of a male. So this is how that the interstitial cells take part in a formation of testosterone. So what is the difference between the androgen and testosterone? Testosterone means a specific hormone. Androgen means the different kinds of hormones, testosterone, DHEP. All these are the different types of androgen. So we are here using the term testosterone. So this testosterone, once it is formed, as its concentration rises, it gives feedback to the hypothalamus to stop the synthesis of a GnRH. Similarly, the when a follicle stimulating hormone stimulates Sertoli cells at a particular concentration of FSH, is synthesized by Sertoli cells, and then inhibin gives negative feedback to the anterior pituitary, so that follicle stimulating hormone should be stopped. So this is how a regulation mechanism is there with the help of a negative feedback. Similarly, in case of uh, Leydig cells, or we can say for controlling the synthesis of a luteinizing hormone, this testosterone acts upon or gives a negative feedback to the anterior pituitary to stop the synthesis of luteinizing hormone. So this is how that the check and balance system is there in a regulation of a spermatogenesis. So this is how that the spermatogenesis is regulated. Now we will discuss about some important questions regarding the spermatogenesis. See, first question is, sperms are considered as a genetically unique and different from the father. This is because dash dash. See, options है A, repeated mitotic divisions in the sperm mother cells, B, meiosis in a primary spermatocyte, C, spermiogenesis, and D, capacitation and maturation in epididymis. तो A इसका आंसर जो है वो बी है, मियोसिस इन प्राइमरी स्पर्मेटोसाइट, क्योंकि जब भी मियोसिस होता है तो मिक्सिंग ऑफ जीन्स दैट टेक्स प्लेस, द क्रोमोसोमल सेगमेंट्स फ्रॉम द paternal side and maternal side, they are exchanged, and the new combination of chromosome that takes place, and these newly formed chromosomes are then um, taken to the new spermatocytes, no sorry, the spermatozoa. So here you will find that each and every spermatozoa is different, and that's why it is genetically unique. अगर आप ए की बात लेते हैं, रिपीटेड माइटोटिक डिवीजन इन द स्पर्म मदर सेल, तो वहाँ पे तो कोई मिक्सिंग ऑफ जीन्स का सवाल ही नहीं है, जस्ट माइटोटिक डिवीजन्स होते हैं, वही वही सेल्स, वही वही क्रोमोसोम्स रिपीट होते हैं और स्पर्म मदर सेल बनते हैं, डिवीजन होता है उसका और स्पर्म मदर सेल बनते हैं. स्पर्मियोजेनेसिस में इट इज जस्ट अ मेटामॉर्फिक चेंज, जो स्पर्मेटिड होता है वो स्पर्मेटोजोआ में कन्वर्ट होता है, वहाँ भी कोई जेनेटिक इन्वॉल्वमेंट और जीन्स का इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं रहता है. और डीकैपेसिटेशन एंड मैच्योरेशन इन एपिडिडाइमिस में जो ऑलरेडी स्पर्मेटोजोआ तैयार हुआ है उसको ही कैपेसिटेट होता है वो और मैच्योर होता है, तो इससे ज़्यादा उसमें कुछ नहीं होता है. तो आंसर है इसका बी. देन which of the following statements about human sperm is correct? 2010 का क्वेश्चन है नीट का. Acrosome has a conical pointed structure used for piercing and penetrating the egg, resulting in fertilization. B है the sperm lysines in the acrosome dissolve the egg envelope, facilitating fertilization. सी है acrosome serve as a sensory structure leading the sperms towards the ovum, and D acrosome serves no particular function. तो इसका आंसर है बी, द स्पर्म लाइसेंस इन द acrosome dissolve the egg envelope facilitating fertilization. मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया था कि जो एक्रोसोम होता है वो गोल्गी कॉम्प्लेक्स से तैयार होता है और उसमें जो हाइड्रोलाइटिक एंजाइम्स रहते हैं वो लाइसिन प्रकार के रहते हैं। उसमें मैंने एक एंजाइम का नाम भी लिया था, उसका नाम था हाइलुरोनिडेज। तो दैट हाइलुरोनिडेज इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर डिसॉल्विंग द एग एनवेलप। तो इसका आंसर है बी। The next question is the testes in humans are situated outside the abdominal cavity inside a pouch called scrotum. The purpose served is for dash dash 2011 का क्वेश्चन है। एस्केप ए है इसका, escaping any possible compression by the visceral organs. B है providing more space for the growth of epididymis. C है providing a secondary sexual features for exhibiting the male sex. और डी है मेंटेनिंग द स्क्रोटल टेम्परेचर लोअर देन द इंटरनल बॉडी टेम्परेचर। तो इसका आंसर है डी, मेंटेनिंग द स्क्रोटल टेम्परेचर लोअर देन द इंटरनल बॉडी टेम्परेचर। मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया था कि स्क्रोटम जो होता है वो एक पाउच लाइक स्ट्रक्चर होता है और बहुत से मैमल्स में पाया जाता है। कुछ एक्सेप्शंस है कि जहाँ पे टेस्टीज जो रहती है वो एब्डोमिनल कैविटी में ही रहती है। फॉर एग्जांपल एलिफेंट हो गया, वेल, राइनो, इकिडना, ये जो एनिमल्स है इनके अंदर में जो टेस्टीज होती है वो एब्डोमिनल कैविटी में रहती है, पर बहुत से मैमल्स में ये स्क्रोटम में रहती है। और ये दैट इज फॉर मेंटेनिंग द लो temperature for spermatogenesis, because for spermatogenesis to happen a low temperature is required. तो humans के अंदर में 2 डिग्री लो टेम्परेचर होता है स्क्रोटम का, 35 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड के अंदर में वहाँ पे स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस प्रॉपर तरीके से होता है, जिसके जो पेशेंट में टेस्टिस जो एब्डोमिनल कैविटी में ही रहती है, ऐसे पेशेंट में देखा गया है कि वो इनफर्टाइल होते हैं। जनरली 7th मंथ का जो फीटस रहता है मेल, उसके अंदर वो टेस्टिस जो होती है वो 7th मंथ में डेवलपमेंट में ये स्क्रोटम में आ जाती है। कोई कोई बच्चों में ये नहीं आती तो ऑपरेशन करके वो टेस्टिस जो है वो स्क्रोटम में प्लेस की जाती है। सो द आंसर इज डी, दैट इज maintaining the scrotal temperature lower than the internal body temperature. Which one of the following statement is false in respect of viability of mammalian sperm? 2012 का क्वेश्चन है। इसमें ए है sperm is viable for only up to 24 hour. B, survival of a sperm depends on the pH of a medium and is more active in alkaline medium. C, viability of a sperm is determined by its motility. And D, sperms must be concentrated in a thick suspension. तो इसका आंसर है ए, sperm is viable for only up to 24 hours। ये गलत है। देखिए फाल्स पूछा गया है तो ये ए गलत है, क्योंकि स्पर्म की वायबिलिटी जो होती है वो 2 से 3 दिन तक की रहती है, मतलब 72 आवर्स तक की। तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ 24 आवर्स लिखा है, वो गलत है। अब ये 24 आवर्स की वायबिलिटी ही ये एग के अंदर होती है। फिर हो गया बी जो है वो सही है, सर्वाइवल ऑफ स्पर्म डिपेंड्स ऑन द pH ऑफ द मीडियम एंड इज मोर एक्टिव इन अल्कलाइन मीडियम। तो स्पर्म जो होता है वो अल्कलाइन मीडियम में ज़्यादा एक्टिव होता है, इसीलिए सेमिनल फ्लूइड जो होता है वो अल्कलाइन होता है। वैसे भी वजाइना का जो मीडियम है वो एसिडिक होता है, और जब ये सेमिनल फ्लूइड वहाँ डाला जाता है तो वो न्यूट्रलाइज होता है वो मीडियम। तो इस प्रकार स्पर्म जो है वो स्विम कर सकता है, आगे जा सकता है। देन सी, वायबिलिटी ऑफ अ स्पर्म इज डिटरमाइंड बाय इट्स मोटिलिटी। तो जितने भी स्पर्म है उसके फॉर फर्टिलिटी 40% ऑफ द स्पर्म शुड बी मोटाइल, ये उसकी वायबिलिटी का ये क्राइटेरिया है। फिर डी, स्पर्म्स मस्ट बी कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड इन अ थिक सस्पेंशन, तो 100 मिलियन पर ml तो होना जरूरी है, 20 मिलियन के ऊपर होना जरूरी है एक्चुअली फॉर द फर्टिलिटी। तो स्पर्म मस्ट बी कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड, ये जरूरी है। तो बी, सी, डी ये तीनों स्टेटमेंट सही है, ये जो स्टेटमेंट है वो गलत है। So this is all about the some important questions about the spermatogenesis. So thank you very much for patient hearing. Please see my part 2 video on oogenesis on NEET. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel Bamu's Biogenius for latest uploads. And if you like my videos, please hit the button like. If you have any queries, please don't hesitate to comment in the comment box. Thank you very much.